Namaste everybody, I'm Lizzie Brooks and this is Muscle Meets Mindful. Today is all about a fun flow, so let's get into it. Come into a comfortable seat and just close your eyes. And we'll just give a little focus to our breathing and to finding whatever you feel is your center. So that could be at the belly, that could be at the heart, whatever works for you. Finding that, drop in. Deep inhale there. And sigh out. Good. Bring your hands together to your heart and set any intention for this practice that feels good to you. Whatever it is that you need or your reason for being here. And you can come back to this intention over and over through the practice. Even if you forget it, don't worry, just come back. Remind yourself. Sealing these intentions with an Om. Inhale. Om. And let the eyes open and shake that all off. So let's join in all fours. If you want to pad your knees, use a blanket. And we'll go ahead and come to the mat here and tuck your toes, reach back into a modified child's pose. Lengthen the arms forward. You can even walk the fingertips a little more forward, opening the arches of the feet, lengthening through the side body and the spine. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, really gentle downward dog. So not trying to get the heels to the floor, keep it really, really soft. Let's do that again. Inhale, come a little bit forward. Exhale, lower the knees and press back. Inhale to rise up. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, come forward. Exhale, lower and shift back. One more time. Inhale. Exhale, downward dog. Inhale, forward. Exhale, knees down and then hips back, modified child's. Inhale, rise up to all fours, and then come on up to a high kneeling position. You can stay in the same position on your mat. I'm just going to rotate here so you can see me. Reach the arms up, get long. Exhale, hands to your heart. Interlace your fingers. Actually, I'll show you from the side, and round the spine. Let the hips come back a little bit. Inhale, reach up. Fingers can interlace or not. Exhale, float the arms down. Roll the shoulders back a few times. Good. Hands come down onto the mat. Inhale is here. Exhale, downward facing dog. Now widen your feet out to the outer edges of your mat. Turn your heels in and press your heart through your upper arms more than you normally would in a downward dog. So this becomes a bit of a back bend, shoulder opener, and then we're opening the hamstrings and the sides of the legs. The IT bands here. Breathe here. And then turn your toes in towards each other, any amount of pigeon toe there. Heels reach out, press your heart again. Way further back than you normally would in a downward dog. Breathing. And then heels straight back. Inhale, come a little bit forward. Exhale, start to lower the knees and press back into a full child's pose this time. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let the right leg rise up just hip height, so not way up here, but just the same height as the other hip. Round your knee in and let's seal it down for our first lunge. Now this might be a great place to put blocks under the hands here. So if you have those and you want to use those, do. Wake up by pulling the femur heads in towards the pelvis, and as you're ready, rise up, maybe reach up. Find your first high lunge here. High lunge, hey lunge. Breathe, hug. Again, the femur heads into the pelvis for support. Know what your feet are doing. Inhale here. Exhale, we'll reach the torso forward and take the arms back. Roll the shoulder blades onto the back body here. Breathe, waking up the back as well. Inhale, arms forward and up, torso up. Exhale, open into your first warrior two. So I'm going to walk my front foot a little more in so that the heel is roughly in line with the arch. If heel to heel feels better for you, go for that. And then I'm going to live in my feet, drink that up through the legs, lengthen that through the heart, and then send energy through the fingertips, gazing over the front hand. Breathing here, finding your strength and your stability. Keep that breath moving through you. And then from here, we're going to take ourselves back down to the mat. So there's a little trick here. I like to pretend that my wrist and my ankle are connected with some thread or some twine. I'm gonna lift that back arm up, and as I do, I'm gonna rotate my heel up so I'm in a better hip position when I come into my lunge. So rather than coming here with that foot down and then correcting, we're gonna pick it all up and come down at the same time. Then step slowly back into plank pose, and from here you have a choice. Do you want to take a vinyasa? Do you want to go to downward dog or child's pose, or maybe all fours? You choose what's right for you. I'm going to take a vinyasa. Lots of ways to do this. Here's one. Rock the heels forward, chaturanga, or all the way to the floor with this. I'm going to move into an upward dog, and I'm not going to go too deep into the back bend. We're pretty, cold here to start. And then exhale to downward facing dog. So let's join in downward dog. Breathing, feeling our hands and our feet down on the mat, lengthen in the spine. We'll go to the other side. Root the palms, left leg reaches not too high, round in, use that arcing of the spine, seal the left foot down, widen your stance enough to feel steady, and then reach up if that works on your shoulders and rise up here. Breathing, hugging towards that midline, find freedom in the breath, and if it feels like you feel a little bit tangled in your mind, just breathe through like you have new lungs in your brain. Breathe those lungs. And then we'll lean forward, reach the arms back, roll the shoulder blades onto the back, breathing here. Wake up that back leg if it started to fall asleep a little bit. And rising up again, arms can come to the sides or forward and up. I'm gonna switch sides on you. You stay exactly where you are, because now we're gonna open into our warrior two. So you might change the positioning of the feet so that the hips, the low back, and the sacrum feel really nice. Breathing here. Do you have to be way down in something like this? Absolutely not. That bothers my knee and my sacrum. So I go hips a little higher than knees. Waking up the back leg. Gazing over the front fingertips here. Finding strength. Finding ease. Bring that intention back to you. And then we'll work on that puppet lift, right? And you might even go back to separating your feet a little bit more distance apart, left to right. And then from here, we'll connect ankle and wrist, reach up, take it over, land in that low lunge, land in that plank, and then make that decision what's best for you. Maybe vinyasa, maybe not. Joining in the downward facing dog, giving a little bit more into your hands, rooting the fingertips and reaching the hips a little further back now. Look to the top of your mat and take your feet there however that feels right. Inhale, rise halfway up, hands could be on the floor, shins or blocks. Exhale, any amount of fold, maybe bending the knees. Inhale, come all the way up, maybe reach up, and then bring your hands back to your heart. Now make any changes that are going to get in the way of you finding your breath and your intention. And then once you have that, find mountain pose. So don't just assume you have alignment, feel for the alignment. Unlock the glutes, unlock the knees. Inhale for the reach. Exhale, chair pose, hands to the heart. So we're gonna do some tapping back with the right leg. So from here, and I'm gonna scoot back just a little bit, shift your weight a little more into that left foot, left leg. Then tap the right toes back and come back to chair. Tap and chair. Really working that left stabilizing leg as you tap and back. If you want a little bit more, you're gonna hover and chair, hover, chair, one more, maybe hover, maybe tap and chair. Woo, reach up, lengthen the legs. Exhale, fold, half sun salute. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale to fold. Choose how you'd like to rise. Inhale, come all the way up. Exhale, hands to the heart, bend the knees for that chair pose. Stabilizing at the front belly and the low back. Get a little more work in that right leg, stabilize there, and we'll go for the taps. Left foot taps back, create your chair. Tap and chair. So again, you can stay with that tap. This is a lot of work, especially for that standing leg, or you can do a baby hover and chair, hover and chair, and one more time, either tap or hover and chair. Inhale, reach. Exhale, fold. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. And then take yourself back however it feels best for you. I tend not to hop when I have a microphone on, through your vinyasa. If you want to skip this, you can skip all of them even. Then do that. Pedal it out. Raise the right leg, step through, use that transition for strength into your right side lunge. From here, rise up. We're in a high lunge again, but make it new with breath and with support. And from here, left arm is gonna go forward, so this is a twist. Left arm forward, right arm back. We're twisting towards that front thigh, not away from it. Breathing here. Find your breath, find activity through the fingertips. Don't stress the neck or the jaw. And then from here, drop the back arm down, forward and all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart. We're gonna twist to the same side again. Twisting high twist. This is gonna, probably you'll feel it in the front of your left hip. You can stay with this high twist, or if it's part of your practice and you want to take the left elbow to the inside or the outside of the right knee, feel free to do that. So instead of taking the hands so much here, see if you can bring your hands more towards the heart as the torso lifts a little bit. Ooh, and I was making my back leg really sloppy and lazy. So that's a good reminder for me to wake up my back leg. Breathing here, finding that center space. And exhale, hands down to the earth, step back. So maybe on this one, you just want to hold your plank a little while. Maybe you're going to take a vinyasa, whichever works. Maybe it has an up dog, maybe it's a cobra. Find it here. And we'll join in downward facing dog. Left leg reaches. Core transition, that means drawing towards the midline. Seal the left foot down. Add your breath, rising up. Breathing here. I keep forgetting to switch sides so I'm not facing away from you. Let me just, that didn't happen. That's a secret. Finding your breath, and then from here we'll go for the twist. Inhale, exhale, twisting again. You're taking yourself towards that front leg and lifting the heart high up, plugging the femur heads into the pelvis and energy through the fingertips here. If this is too much for that back shoulder, always lose that back. Just let it go, put it on the waist. And then drop that back arm down, forward, all the way up. Bring your hands to your heart. Okay, so we're gonna go twisting same side again. Inhale, lengthen the spine. Exhale, high twist towards that front leg. Wake up the back leg, stay here, or your right elbow goes inside or outside of your left knee, and then hands towards the heart center as you might rotate that torso around a little bit. If looking up is bothersome to your neck or you lose your balance, look neutral or look down. Breathing here. If you haven't looked down, bring your hands to the earth, step back. This time we're all gonna do a held plank if that's okay. Tap your right toes over to the right and back. Left toes to the left and back. Right to the right, left to the left. Good. Now widen your feet. Right hand touches the left shoulder and down. And you can skip these. Left hand touches the right shoulder and down. One more time each side. Right hand to left shoulder, back to the mat. Left hand to right shoulder and back to the mat. Keep your feet this wide and press it back into your downward facing dog. Now imagine that between your feet, you're pulling your mat apart, and you'll feel a little bit more again in that outer section of the legs, the sides of the legs. Breathing. Then walk your feet into your classic positioning for downward facing dog. Look forward and take your feet to the top of your mat. Inhale, halfway up, Ardha Uttanasana. Exhale, fold any amount, maybe bend the knees. Choose how you'd like to rise, make it safe. Rise up. Exhale, Samastitihi, which means steady and even. So when we find Samastitihi, not just steady and even in the body, but steady and even in the mind and steady and even in the breath. And if you find it in the breath, you're gonna find it all over generally. Add your breath here. All right, and then we're gonna go into a wide stance. So just facing me, open the feet wide, not so wide that you feel like you don't have support underneath you. You still wanna feel like you have support. Then reach the arms forward, turn the palms up, take your fingertips towards your shoulders, and then lift your elbows up, back, and down. Good, now scoop them underneath you, up, back, and down. Full rotation there. One more time, really nice length, open the shoulders, and then back, point the elbows forward, unfurl the arms forward like you're holding a gift in each hand to someone you love. Roll the shoulders away from each other. Okay, now from here, start to reach the arms up, and don't allow, so there's on the clavicle, so there's a joint here there's a bone on this clavicle that lifts. There's a joint right here that helps that lift. Don't allow that joint to move, so that instead of doing this, by letting that joint move, just come up to where you feel like you can't go anymore without letting that joint move. And you can feel the work in the lats and through the shoulder blades. It should feel very weird when you're engaging that. If it feels weird, you're doing it right. Inhale, exhale, let that go. Whew. Roll the shoulders out and back a few times. All right, so I'm gonna take my stance a little closer in. We're gonna eventually come to tree pose, but we're gonna come into it in a super weird way. So let's get weird. When am I not? Bend one knee, choose which one you want. Bring your hands to your heart. Roll your opposite heel in, let it lift. Then from here, as you move your weight over towards that staying leg, see if you can take yourself up into tree. Okay, so you can play with that. Maybe that didn't quite work and you need to kind of help it along. Maybe you need to use your hands to create it. However that works, see, play with it a little bit. Add your breath and then maybe reach up. Hug everything to the midline so you're not hanging out in that hip. Wake up. Good. And if you want a little bit more, you're going to reach and arc towards the bent knee. So this is going to really work your balance a lot and work through the core and the spine, obliques, all of it. Inhale back to center if you took that sway. Bring the knee forward, hands to the heart. Maybe extend that leg. You don't have to, and you might be down here with extension, still working. And then lower that leg all the way down, shake it out. Go wide with the feet again, but not too wide. Shift your weight over into the opposite knee than you did last time. Rotate your heel in, let it lift. As you stand tall in the standing leg, create that tree pose, maybe with that nice helper hand, okay? So play with it a little bit. This is a new way to dive into this one. Coming on up. Maybe you're taking your reach. Don't hang out in the hip. Cinch it up. I don't know why I have to make that sound effect, but apparently that helps. Breathing here, and if you want a little bit more for balance and a little bit different work through the torso, the spine, the obliques, we'll lean it over. If you lean it over, bring it back up. Bring the hands to the heart as the knee comes forward. Extend through the leg any amount, even if it's not even close to hip height. Then bend, and let's put it back down. Shake it out. Let's go wide again. Turn your heels in. Take your fingers, or the first finger and thumb, to the hip crease and find your goddess squat. The hips are higher than the knees, please. Press evenly down into the floor with your feet. Reach up with your arms. And then from here, you're gonna have another option to take a strengthening lateral. So either put your right hand on your waist and take it there, or for a little more work, a little more challenge, reach both arms up like you're holding a beach ball in your hands. You don't have to go far for this to make a big impact. Inhale, center. Exhale, hands to heart, straighten the legs. Reach the arms up at the same time as you bend the knees. Make your choice, does the hand come to the waist or not? Lateral to the left side. Hugging in with those arms if you have them extended above you. Root the feet, find the breath. Inhale, center. Hands come to the heart as the legs straighten. Turn your heels out. Inhale, reach up. Exhale, fold down. Prasarita Padottanasana, any amount of fold. Hands could be underneath you to your ankles. You could take yogi toe lock here. I'm gonna show you an option for the shoulders that I find really lovely. One hand comes way far forward to the floor, and the opposite hand goes way far back behind you. So I'm gonna show you from here so you can see my hands and not so much my feet. Right hand forward, left hand back. I'm gonna really walk the fingertips away from each other, palms down, and I'm gonna breathe deeply into my lungs. This is gonna open into my pectorals, lats, different parts of the back and chest. And then other side. Other hand forward, other hand back. And you could be making whichever hand position you want here. Don't do what I was just doing. I was just hanging out in my knee joints. I'm gonna soften those up a little bit. And then hands back underneath you. You stay exactly as you are. And hands to the waist, bend the knees any amount. Inhale, hinge all the way back up. I'll join you here. Reach the arms out to the sides, and then all the way up. Let the palms touch, spread your fingers wide, and then let your thumbs come towards your upper back while the elbows don't splay to the sides, but rather lift up. And then coil like you're doing a baby cobra. You're gonna really feel the paraspinal muscles activate here. Breathing. This is really energizing. And then reach the arms up, neutralize the spine. Exhale, open the arms out. Turn your right set of toes out. We're gonna go back into that warrior two position. Now we're gonna go into a half moon or Ardha Chandrasana. If you know you like a block for that, grab that block, have it handy, sort of catty corner to your right pinky toe. So diagonally forward and to the right of it. And as you're ready, we'll take our back hand to our waist, hop the back foot in, and maybe hinge, find the block at whatever height you need or the floor, and then lean more weight forward. And as you're ready, straighten the lower leg to help lift the already straight and strong back leg. Working the inner thigh, make an L shape with that back ankle. And if you need to change your block position at all, do that. So I'd rather see a nice long spine here than have you try to really reach for the floor and round here and scrunch up through the neck and shoulders. Maybe lift that top arm. If you have a bind practice and you want to find that back ankle and open here and broaden a little bit more through that chest, feel free. The height of that back knee is sort of up to you and what feels good in the hip and the quads. And then maybe go back slowly, full extension. Take the block with you if you're going to use it on the other side. Let's begin to bend the standing leg more to help you slowly land the back foot back to warrior two, maybe holding that block. Breathe here. Reach up, spin your toes this direction. Take the block above you if you're using it. Exhale, fold. Again, Prasarita Padottanasana, possibly putting your head on the block. You don't need a block. Your head can just be hanging out in space or on the floor. And then from here, we'll go ahead and rise back up. You can bend the knees any amount. Take the block in the other hand. I'm going to go ahead and spin. So other set of toes, left set of toes, spin towards the short edge of your mat. The block gets set up diagonally to the left of your left pinky toe. Breathing here. Back hand to the waist, hop in a little bit. And then hinge, bend that standing leg a lot. Place your hand on the block. Maybe you need it higher height here. And then back leg is already straight and strong. Straighten your standing leg to help lift the back leg. Good. Block again at whatever height you need. And the gaze might be down or neutral or up. If up takes you out of your balance, skip looking up, okay? Your balance is a lot based on your focal point, okay? If you feel okay there, bend, see if you can find that foot. So if you keep bending it behind you and oh, there's no foot there, try to bend the knee in towards your belly, then find the ankle, then see if you can bloom out from there, if it feels safe. And again, the height of the back knee, see what feels good. There's not one way to do all of this, all right? If you looked up, look down to the floor, find your balance, unbind if you were bound, and then bend your standing leg more. Don't take the block with you. Come into warrior two. Rise up, reach up, spin your toes. Exhale, both heels in, goddess squat. Breathing here. All right. Now make sure you're not really wide on this. So come in a little bit, roughly knees over the ankles, and lift one ankle up. Take the hips a millimeter lower, breathe and open the groin. Lower that heel down. Lift the opposite heel, breathe here. Maybe take the hips a millimeter lower and down. All right, well, can you guess what's next? Lift both heels, take the hips a millimeter lower, breathe here. Maybe reach up. If you're falling, if you're wavering, good, yes, that's all part of learning. How many times have I fallen out of this? Too many to count. Lower the heels, straighten it all up, heels reach out, exhale for your fold. Now we're gonna spin over towards the left side of your mat into a lunge, take it back into plank pose, and we'll work something a little different here, okay? So we're gonna turn our plank into a side plank. So the left hand comes down, stack the feet, make your ankles L shapes, and then reach that top arm up or to the waist. Some changes can be made to this. You can step the front foot forward and hang out here. You can lower the bottom knee and hang out here. If you want to add a little more challenge, we're going to do some toe taps. So bend that top knee and point your toe and touch it gently in front of you and then behind you. In front and behind. So this is sort of, we're back to those, that theme of toe taps that we started at the beginning. And forward and back. So we're having to stabilize through that movement. Then come back into that classic side plank and then into full. Now here's where you make your choice. Do you want to take a vinyasa or not? Maybe down dog or child's. I'm going for a child's here because I can't breathe and talk and do yoga all at the same time. We'll join in our downward facing dog. And I'm gonna go ahead and switch sides for the second side plank. So from your downward facing dog, as you're ready, create a full plank. Right hand comes down. Take your time setting this up. So don't be in a hurry. And then from here, remember you have options. And our last option is to take a little bit of a toe tap practice here. You're just trying to, it's like the water in front of you and the water behind you, it's a little cold, you just dipping your toe in. Ooh, I don't know about that. One more time. And create the side plank, come back to full plank, and you guys know your options. I'm gonna go to child's pose. We're all uniquely different. We don't have the same lifestyle, the same body, the same injuries, the same joys, the same sorrows. Why should we be doing the same yoga? All right. Downward dog, here we go. That's a little hats off to my New York family there. I'm not from New York, I'm from Oklahoma. Don't tell anyone, just kidding. Look to the top of your mat and take your feet there. Inhale, rise halfway up, and exhale, fold, maybe bending the knees to protect the back. Inhale, rise up, reach up, and exhale, hands to the heart. Shake off the clutter. Again, make those changes that take you out of your practice and out of your breath. And then once you've done that, find some clarity in your mountain pose. Feel for the alignment. Don't just assume the alignment. Deep breath in. Big sigh out. Inhale, reach. Exhale, chair pose. Optional lift of the heels in your chair pose. I do a lot of heel lifts to strengthen the ankles, the balance, and the calves, also the toes and the arches of the feet. And then if the heels are lifted, lower them back down. Reach the arms up. Bring the hands out and down. Find the waist. Bend the knees again and step the right leg back. Find your high lunge. All right. Lean forward. So we did a little lean forward earlier today. We're finding that again with a different arm position. Wake up. Take the low belly, not hanging out on the top thigh, but a little bit away from that top thigh. If you want more for the back and the shoulders, reach the arms like you're holding that beach ball again between the hands. And then from here, we'll all meet in a warrior three. So arms might stay lifted alongside of the ears. They might come down. They might come to the heart. They might find blocks. The back leg is nice and straight and strong. There's a little bit of a softness in the standing leg knee. Finding that warrior three, again, arm position that works. Maybe you're reaching back again. Then slowly land hands back to the waist, high lunge. Lean forward, step the back leg into chair. All right, nice work. Now heel toe the feet wide again to the outer edges of your mat like you did in that downward dog. Press your hips back, more. Take the sternum forward, hips back, and then arms are gonna go back to the sides or forward for bear pose. Breathing here, hugging your inner thighs towards your outer ribs. This is a really, really tough one. It's so wonderful for strengthening their hips and protecting us over the years so that our hips are nice and strong. Nice. Hands come down, step or hop back, downward dog. Always land with soft knees. Take a vinyasa or not. I will fix my microphone cord while you make the correct choice for you. While you fix your microphone cord. I have no filter. All right, surprise. Look to the top of your mat, take your feet there. Inhale, rise halfway up. Exhale, fold. Choose your way to standing. And bring your hands to the heart. Unlock the knees and the glutes, unlock the breath, find center. And soften even the muscle fibers around the eyes. Chair pose, optional lift of the heels. Breathing here. Wake up even the inner thighs. Maybe this time you'll reach your arms up or somewhere else. And then from here, lower your heels, reach up, and float the arms down into the waist. Bend the knees, find that slight chair. Bring the left leg back. You're in your high lunge. Make sure, that there's space enough between the feet. Hinge forward, and then where are you going to choose to put your arms? You can stay here. You can reach back, sides, or forward for more work, and we'll move into our warrior three. So as you're ready, you're going to already have a really nice, strong, straight back leg. Roll a little more weight forward, kind of like you did in your Ardha Chandrasana, half moon, and then move. I'm going to move my arms back so I don't hit these twigs here, into your warrior three. Arm position up to you. Maybe you have fingertips down to stabilize or hands on blocks. Legs are really, really active, and that front knee or that lower knee has some softness to it. As you're ready, bend that standing leg more, land, reach up. Good. Exhale, lower the hands down. Step back into plank pose, breathing here. All right, so we're gonna change it up a little bit. If it feels okay for you and you feel really good and strong in the low back, take your hands forward more than you normally would. So they're not under the shoulders, but they're forward. Breathe here. This is going to change how you have to stabilize this. And it's okay. It's okay to do this as long as the joints feel all right. And then from here, walk the hands back underneath you, and now go wider to the left and right with your hands than you normally would. Breathing. Feet can be the distance apart you need them to be. Hands back under the shoulders, lower the knees, press back child's pose, and maybe roll the wrists out here. All right, hands are gonna come down, rise up to the knees, round the spine, and unwind into a gentle back bend here. And then neutralize the spine. You can sway the hips a little side to side. I like to really let my feet kind of go to one side and the other as I drop my hips and let my scapula lift up a little bit alternately. And then from here, you might grab a blanket for underneath you. I have a feeling I skipped something before. I'm sure you'll tell me in the comments. So anyhow, if you know what I skipped, do what I skipped. Come on down onto your belly and just rest for a moment in this position. I'm staying up so I don't squash my microphone. If you want to wiggle around a little bit or soften at the knees or the ankles, feel free. And then from here, Sphinx Pose. So elbows are going to come underneath the shoulders roughly. If they need to go a little bit more forward, absolutely, that's fine. Roll, or let's start with the back, tops of the feet. So what's behind us? Tops of the feet, root, spread the fingers. Wake up the quads a little bit. And then from here, lengthen through the sternum, roll the shoulder blades onto the back, and then don't lead with the chin, but just take a really soft gaze forward. Breathe here. So we don't do a lot of back bending just in our regular everyday living. So we don't have to do giant back bends for them to be very impactful and beneficial. Breathing here. And then take your right forearm parallel with the front of your mat, and it can be low. You can stay low with this with the torso, or higher up. And then walk your legs a little closer together. Bend your left knee and see if you can reach back and touch your toes. Maybe grab the toe and turn forward and roll that left shoulder blade onto the back, breathing here. If that feels okay and flexibility allows, you might begin to bring the heel a little closer to the outside of the hip. If the shoulder allows, you might spin your fingertips forward, turning the shoulder into internal rotation and breathing here. Again, you might be down here or here. You might be using a strap, okay? So a lot of variation on this one for the quad stretch. And we worked the quads a lot. Slowly unwind and go back down to your rest. Soften it out. Just be breathed and stay where you are. And I'll switch sides so you can see that. Coming up to the Sphinx pose for just a moment. Spinning your left forearm parallel to the top of your mat. Bending the right knee. You might have to bring the knees a little closer together to begin. And just see if you can, where's that foot? There it is. And stay here. Maybe gaze forward. Maybe use a strap. Possibly bring it in or rotate the fingers forward. So this is kind of an odd one for the shoulder and the hips and the knee. So if any one of those places isn't working, do some modified version of this, okay? Deep breath in and exhale. Slowly unwind and rest it out a little bit here. And then very carefully stabilizing at the low back, we'll take it into a child's pose. Elongating through that lumbar, through the arms. You don't need the blanket anymore for where we're going next. If now is a good spot for you to keep resting, you can pause and take a rest there. 2 more breaths in your child's pose. Good. And then from here, coming into crow, okay, or if you'd rather crane. So I'm going to show you a little trick actually. I just put my block up, but I need it. So if you have trouble, these are for folks who have trouble getting the knee very high up towards the upper arm tricep area. I'm not in the armpit on this particular one, but there. Maybe there's not enough flexibility yet and you're kind of closer to the elbow and you slip off. The block is there, so you can step onto it with a little height. Heels lift high, and then you open the knees wide, keep the toes close together. There's going to be a reason for that. And then you'll hunker down a little bit, drop the chest, similar to kind of how we did in that bear pose. Then find yourself gluing the front of the knee and upper shin area to as high up to the upper arm as you can. You're not making a straight line with the upper arm and the shin. You're making a little X. So I wouldn't be here, okay? I would be here, all right? So I just want you to see that from that angle. And then hands are wider than shoulder distance apart. Connection, gaze is forward and down. Heels and hips lift high, and then there's a exchange of weight. If I just try to get my feet up without exchanging my weight forward and taking my shoulders forward of my wrists, I'm gonna keep just kicking and not getting any lag time, okay? But if I take the hips high and I let that weight move forward, then I might be able to take one set of toes or both away from the block. And then I'm gonna keep those toes pointed in and back. Lifting my heels to my sitting bones, arms could be straight or bent. I like to straighten my arms on this one. So one more little trick. So that's the trick using the block. You might not need it. And of course, I so professionally put my blanket up and said you didn't need it. But for my folks who have the fear, which is totally normal, of falling forward and falling out of this, putting a blanket in front is just like a little bit of a safety net, okay? So your hands are never on the blanket. If you're using it, they can go underneath, okay? So same principle here. Big toe ball joints come close, hips lift high. You're finding that way high up connection. Then there's a shift of weight forward. The blanket is there to catch you. And then you're gonna hug in. Maybe straighten the arms if you can. Maybe keep the elbows bent if that's better. This is a crane. Crow is with the elbows bent. And then we'll come on down. All right. And then from here, you'll find your squat. So malasana, heels in, knees out. If this doesn't work for you, for your hips or your low back, for any reason at all, sit up on a block instead at whatever height you might need so you have more structure beneath you rather than hanging down, okay? Now, find the root of the feet. So that's the trick to getting a little bit differently into the hips. So press down into the feet, lengthen your sternum up and out of the pelvis like you're a turtle just kind of coming out of that shell. There's that sound effect again. And then we're gonna go really passive with this. So we're active now, and now on an exhale, go passive, passive, passive. Palms turn up, round, round, round. Inhale, slowly activate. It's really good for the hips and the spine. Exhale, passive. Last one, inhale, take it up. Exhale, passive. Let the head hang down, kind of traction that spine. Inhale, come all the way up. Optional twist, open twist. So your left fingertips come down to the floor in front or behind your knee, and the other arm reaches up. Roll the shoulder blades onto your back. Only look up if that feels good on your neck. Now live a little bit more in the feet. Inhale here. Exhale, hands back to the heart. As you're ready, opposite side if you're taking the twist. And you don't have to. You don't have to do anything. I won't know about it. And even if I was right in front of you and not just on your device, it would be fine with me. Make this your own. Inhale. Exhale, hands back to the heart. Fingertips come down to the floor. Lift your hips. If you have that block, move it over to the side or underneath your hands. Spin your toes forward. Exhale, fold. Sway it out. And then bend the knees a lot. Hips reach behind you. Round all the way to stand. Last thing that comes up is the head and the shoulders bloom open. Soften that all out. Mountain pose. Last mountain pose here. If balance allows, close your eyes. Unlock the knees. Imagine that you have a lid on your head and you're unscrewing that lid, letting go of that lid so that you can freely let what needs to enter in and what needs to leave, right? So whatever wants to enter in and you need it, let it come in. Whatever needs to let loose, let it go. Letting go of the tension around the skull and the brain. We'll take a slow vinyasa down to the mat. So if you're not already facing a short edge of your mat, go ahead and do that. Move any props out of your way. Inhale, reach. Exhale, feel the exhale, ride that exhalation down. It's halfway up, but it's a full breath. And then take it back through your final vinyasa or any variation. This time I think I'll do a cobra instead of an upward dog. Roll the shoulder blades back, tops of the feet down. Little lift, working that back body. So important. Exhale down. Take it back to your child's pose and rest there. And then rising up to a seated position. If you want a blanket underneath you, slide it back under, invite it back in. Bring the legs out and go to a distance where you're feeling a gentle stretch in the inner thighs and you're not at all maxed out. So I don't want you to go into a full extension there. Just breathe. And then as you're ready, spin towards your left leg, lengthen the spine, and then walk any amount in that direction. Maybe it's just a little lean or just a turn that way. Maybe you have a strap around the arch of your foot or you're holding onto that, breathing there. So even if you can kind of throw yourself into these postures, find yourself in a safe zone where breathing isn't at all a struggle and you still have intention and you're caring for yourself. Inhale, take it up, and then we'll just spin to the other leg and maybe find any amount of a reach and breathing there. Soften the neck, no clenching in the jaw. What do you need? It's all, so much of this is just housed in the breath. Inhale, come all the way up, spin back forward. Use your hands to help you take your legs back in and just pause there for a moment. All right, so we were kind of focused on hamstrings and groin. Now we'll go a little bit more to stretching the glutes and the front of the back legs. So if you want to use your blanket for your pigeon pose, feel free to do that. And front leg, whichever one you want, comes in front, back leg goes in back, and this bisects underneath you, okay? But I want to show you something, and that is that, and I'll try to show you as well as I can, that if this is my front leg of my pigeon, I'm not going to put my foot on my blanket, okay? Because that can torque the knee, and the knee is a hinge joint, not a ball and socket, so you don't want to add that torque. So I would allow the use of my blanket, but I would put my foot underneath the blanket so that my ankle is not the same height as my knee or higher than, okay? So with that in mind, coming into our pigeon poses with or without the blanket or even a bolster, maybe a block underneath that front hip. I have a whole workshop just on pigeon pose, so there's a lot to say here. If this pose isn't something that's part of your practice that feels right to you, then skip it or come on down, cross the right ankle or whichever leg you were doing to the top of your left knee and bring it back here, okay? If you want to go a little bit deeper, you might come forward here or put a block under the forearms, or you might come all the way down, chin or forehead onto the mat. So I've been doing a lot of glute work, so I don't need to go too far to really feel this. The breath is part of this, so the more that you can imagine the breath inhabiting the places of tension, the easier and more sustainable this will be, and the less the body will try to grip and pull back, and instead the body will say, oh, okay, this is safe, I can tell by the way you're breathing, this is okay, yeah, not in fight or flight whatsoever. So the parasympathetic nervous system can be available. And then really, really careful coming out of this. So if there's a particular way that you know that feels best for you, please do that. If not, hands come down. I don't want you to just go into this back bend and then fly from this big asymmetry back. Instead, put your hands down, pick up the pelvis, lean forward and almost round a little bit so you get length in the low back and support in the front belly. Then tuck your back toes, scoot your back knee in, and then take both knees to all fours. If you want to place a downward dog, do that. And as you're ready, other side. So some of us might be using that blanket, and if you are, remember the heel is not up on the blanket, the foot's not up on the blanket, it's rather underneath it, okay? Breathing here and just acclimating. So you're just taking your time. And you can look back and see if you're kind of sickling out your heel or what you're doing there sometimes because we don't have eyes on the back of our head, or at least I don't. I don't know sometimes what's going on back there. So that takes just the presence of mind and taking a moment and going, oh, okay, now we know. And then making your choice. Do you need to stay up high? Is there a venturing down to any degree? So safety first, breath first. Everything else is way down the line from those two things. If you notice that you're harboring any tension in the jaw, around the eyes, or just in your thought process, take a deep breath in and let it go. You could even blow it out through the mouth. Let that out. Maybe moving a little side to side will give you some insight into where the tension is and where you need to take the weight a little bit, so even just that shift. Paint your hips with your breath. And then again, the transition out of this is very, very key so that we don't harm ourselves. A lot of times people think, you know, they're going to get hurt in a posture. And that's true. People can get hurt in a posture if we're not careful. But during the transitions, it's where we can become really vulnerable. So care for the transitions. Rising up. Lean it forward, lift the pelvis up, lean it forward a little bit, lengthen the low back, get the belly active, then tuck the toes under, scoot the back knee in. So you're stable through the whole core and trunk. Then come back, either child's pose or downward dog. I'm going to do a child's pose here. Then rising up to all fours, transition into any amount of a lift and a back bend. Stay up on the knees and the hands for the round. And then we'll go ahead and come on down onto the back body. If you want to do a core transition and really lower slow, 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 feel free to do that. Oh, my core just gave out. And then come on down. And from here, reach your legs away from you, reach your arms away from you, get a full body stretch, wiggle. You might go a little side to side here. Again, into those lateral sections. Soles of the feet down. Pause for a moment. Soften the throat and the jaw, so take a swallow. Make sure your chin's not jutting up. Elongate the back of the neck. And then draw the knees in. Open the knees any amount. And then you can either venture into your happy baby pose, outer feet, outer ankles, or holding outer knees, or just separating the knees. I like to kind of do an alternating reach and open the groin there. And then from here, soles of the feet back down to the floor. Grab a block or a blanket or a bolster or something. Lift your hips up, slide that underneath your sacrum. So pretty low height here. Unless it just feels incredible for you to go higher, that's kind of rare. But if you're rare, great. Not the tailbone, not the low back, that's not where you want the block, it's right in between those two. And then feel free to turn your palms down, in, or up, shoulder blades on the back, breathing here in your restorative bridge. Soften the belly. Soften the need to do too much. So you've done a lot. Now do the opposite. Do less. And then after you do less than that. Deep breath in. Let it go. And then from here, lift up just a little bit, slowly roll down. You don't need that block anymore unless you really want it there. And we'll come down for Shavasana. If you want to roll a blanket under the knees or change this position in any way, shape, or form, do that. Close the eyes. And then let go of any work starting at the very, very pit of the pelvis all the way out. So imagine that there's a drop of water, there's just pristine water drop of water, a droplet comes down, hits the water, and then ripples out gently. So from your center, could be center of pelvis or belly or heart, ripple, relaxation, out, center, out. And then from the center of the mind, ripple, relaxation, and letting go from the center, out. Blur your edges a little bit. So where you feel like you have those hard, tense edges, blur those out a little bit. Where your skin ends and the air starts, blur that out. And see if you can connect more broadly than just your bubble. So we all get it caught in our bubbles. I know I do from time to time. Broaden out. And if you'd like to offer some kind thoughts or intentions to anyone beyond you, then I invite you to do that now. If you really need it, invite all those kind thoughts directly in. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate it. Every time you like a video or comment or subscribe, it's a bit of a celebration here. So I am just one person, and I'm learning how to do all this, and your support means everything. Well, I guess that's about it. So thanks so much for coming. I hope you have a beautiful day. Namaste.